The wind carried whispers on its breath, tales of a world reborn in the stark geometry of LEGO bricks. Not a world of simple play, but a crucible forged in the fires of expert mode, where survival was not a given but a hard-won prize. This was the realm spun from the seed 676,945,156, a landscape both beautiful and brutal, a siren's call to those who dared to test their mettle against the unforgiving laws of nature and code. And in this nascent world, a hero stirred. His name was Finn, and his story was not written in the soft ink of easy victories, but etched in the jagged lines of resilience, the stark angles of survival. He wasn't born into privilege, nor was he bestowed with divine gifts. Instead, he was thrust into this vibrant, yet treacherous realm, a lone figure against an overwhelming odds, armed with nothing but his will to survive and the knowledge that within this blocky reality, he would not only endure, but become something more. He was about to learn that every block mattered, every resource was precious, and every step was a gamble, all leading to a single, vital objective. The legendary Storm Chaser Village, a beacon of hope in a world teetering on the edge of chaos. His journey had begun, and the LEGO world, in all its unforgiving glory, was waiting to see if he could rise to meet its challenge. This was more than just a game. This was his Odyssey. The world born from seed 676,945,156 wasn't just a landscape. It was a living, breathing entity, its very LEGO bricks humming with an energy both alluring and menacing. For Finn, it was a canvas upon which he was forced to paint his survival, each stroke dictated by the unforgiving rules of expert. His initial days weren't a gentle introduction. They were a plunge into the deep end of the survival pool, where every resource was a lifeline and every shadow held a potential. He learned to listen to the land's whispers, the subtle rustling of leaves that betrayed a hidden predator, the change in wind direction that heralded a storm. He wasn't merely a player. He was becoming a part of the world, his senses finely tuned to its rhythms and nuance. He knew the difference between the various types of wood, each with different properties, and their usefulness for different tools and craft. He knew the importance of fiber and how it is used to create essential survival items. His hands, initially clumsy, became skilled artisans, molding raw materials into tools and defenses that reflected his growing mastery. His early creations were crude, functional, but lacking in fin. But as he survived, he refined his techniques, each tool a testament to his hard-earned knowledge, each armor piece a patchwork of lessons learned. He started experimenting with different types of rocks, discovering that obsidian was sharper than flint, and granite provided a more sturdy construction. He also realized the importance of the different ores, knowing that copper and iron would eventually give him access to better weapons. His small shelter, at first a flimsy refuge, had evolved into a fortified outpost, a testament to his unyielding dedication to upgrade. He reinforced the walls with layers of stone, fashioned a sturdy roof to protect against the elements, and created a system of traps and barriers to ward off nocturnal invaders. He studied the patterns of the day and night, learning to anticipate the emergence of creatures from the shadows, meticulously preparing his defenses with calculated precision. The days became a complex routine of exploration and gathering resources, each hour carefully planned to maximize his efficiency, while the nights were spent in a state of alert, ready to defend his hard-earned sanctuary. His diet, once a monotonous cycle of berries, had transformed into a carefully balanced combination of cooked meats, roasted vegetables, and hearty mushroom stew. He learned to identify different plants, their nutritional value, and their potential uses in brewing potions and crafting remedies. He was becoming a self-sufficient unit, a master of the wilderness, his mind as sharp as his tool. He started creating maps of his surroundings, marking places that he had explored, and noting the location of valuable resources and potential danger. Then came the encounter with the Rift and Caden. It wasn't a moment of surprise, but rather a validation, a confirmation of the whispers he had been hearing. The Storm Chaser Village was more than a legend. It was a tangible destination, a place of hope and resilience. He knew it was already marked on his map, but the presence of Caden added a human element, connection to the Lord. Caden's weary eyes, filled with the weight of shared struggle, spoke of battles fought and victories. Their conversation, while succinct, was a solemn passing of the torch, a reminder that the fight against the storm was a collective effort, and he wasn't alone in his struggle. He was fascinated by Caden's tales and the amount of knowledge he had. The journey to the Storm Chaser village was a gauntlet, an unrelenting test of his skills and his spirit. It wasn't just the physical hurdles, the sheer cliffs that demanded innovative solutions using ropes and grappling hooks, or the labyrinthine caves echoing with unknown danger. It was the mental exhaustion, the constant need to stay focused, the knowledge that a simple slip could have deadly consequences. The landscapes transformed around him, from arid deserts that tested his water management and endurance, to dense forests where shadows played tricks on the eye and invisible predators, each biome presenting new and unique challenges. He learned the subtle language of the wind, using it to guide him through the wilderness and to recognize incoming storms. He perfected his hunting techniques, becoming a master of stealth, using his knowledge of animal behavior to anticipate their movements, and crafting specialized arrows that maximized his accuracy and power. He learned to blend in with his surroundings, using camouflage techniques, and his steps became more deliberate as he stalked his prey. The wolves were a distant memory. Now he faced monstrous beasts, their size and power challenging his resourcefulness. The rock giants, impervious to his initial strikes, demanded a new level of strategic thinking. He began exploiting their weaknesses, luring them into traps that he had created, and using his environment to his advantage, using falling rocks to stun them and fire to cause additional damage. His armor was no longer a simple layering of hides. It became a powerful defense, crafted from the scales of defeated beasts, each piece an emblem of his victory. His weapons, once crude tools, evolved into finely crafted instruments of destruction, each one reflecting his skill and expertise. He started to experiment with elemental properties, crafting fire arrows that ignited his foes, and ice bombs that left them vulnerable, learning to combine different resources to create even more powerful weapons. He was no longer just surviving. He was evolving into a warrior, his skill honed by the unforgiving landscape. He knew there would be days when his body begged for rest, when the loneliness threatened to overwhelm him. But he found strength in the stories of the storm chasers, their unbreakable spirit a beacon of. He realized that his survival wasn't just about himself. It was about protecting the world from the storm, and about building a new future. He would find a quiet spot to sharpen his weapons, reflecting on the meaning of his survival, and he would always find the will to keep going. As he finally approached the storm chaser village, the sky above him mirrored his journey, the storm clouds gathering, the wind howling like a restless spirit. It was a final trial, a last challenge to his determination. The rain lashed at him with violent intensity, blurring his vision and battering his body. But his will remained unbroken. He fought through the storm, his senses heightened, his resolve solidified. He knew that if he could conquer this storm, he could conquer any obstacle in his way. Through the driving rain, the storm chaser village appeared, its torches shining like beacons in the darkness, a symbol of hope and resilience. It was more than a settlement. It was a haven, a testament to the power of community. As he walked through the gate, the storm seemed to subside, as if acknowledging his arrival. The village pulsed with activity, the sounds of hammers and crafting creating a symphony of life. The faces of the villagers, filled with strength and determination, welcomed him into their fold. He was no longer an outsider. He was one of them, a fellow warrior in the fight against the storm. He took a deep breath, inhaling the smell of wood smoke and fresh bread. The journey had been a long and perilous road, but he had finally reached his destination. The Storm Chaser village was a place of rest, recovery, and strategic planning. It was a hub to prepare for future battles. His quest was far from over. This was just the next chapter. He would learn to harness the storm's power, to overcome the challenges of expert mode, and to face the Storm King and his minions. The future was uncertain, but Finn knew that he was ready. He had become a master of the LEGO world, a force of nature ready to challenge anything that this world threw at him. He was not just a survivor anymore. He was a hero.